Hi, I'm Curious Vedanth, and welcome to season 3 of my podcast. Today, my guest is Srihari Jayaram, who is a manager for brand monetization at Swiggy from Bangalore, India. For those who are not aware, Swiggy is India's largest online food ordering and delivery platform, like Uber Eats and Grab Food. During this pandemic, a lot of people depend on online delivery systems rather than going to stores or restaurants. It's almost magical that at the click of a button, food is at our doorstep within minutes. Hi Srihari, welcome to my show.
Hey Vedant, it's nice to talk to you.
I know, even I'm very excited.
Yeah, that's a great introduction that you gave about Swiggy.
So Srihari, I'm curious to know, once I place an order for food, what is the process to get the food delivered at our doorstep?
Sure. So there are a couple of stages in which the delivery happens. As soon as you place the order, the first thing that the restaurant that needs to do is accept the order. So they are given a couple of minutes in which they need to accept. While all of this happens, right? So the customer has visibility in terms of what is happening to his order, right? So the moment the restaurant accepts the order, the customer gets to know that the restaurant has accepted the order. So the first stage I would say is acceptance, right? In case the restaurant doesn't accept, what happens is that a call goes from the call center to tell him that, hey, there's an order which is being placed by a customer, right? So you need to accept the order. Even after that, if the restaurant doesn't accept the order, then you have the delivery executive going to the restaurant and reminding the restaurant that, hey, there is a order which needs to be readied. So post acceptance is the restaurant marks the food ready as soon as he prepares. So now this is a key step, right? It helps the customer understand that his food has been prepared. B, the delivery executive is sent after the food has been made ready. So the algorithm works in such a way, the app works in such a way that the nearest delivery executive, as soon as the mark food ready has been pressed, is assigned at that moment. Now, the second step is that the customer gets to know the food is ready. And the third step would be that the delivery executive has picked up the order. That's another thing. So as soon as the delivery executive arrives at the restaurant, the customer gets to see that he's arrived and he's picked up the order. A notification goes to the customer that your order has been picked up. And post that, there is an order tracking screen where the customer sees that the delivery executive is on his way. So he has a map which he can see where the delivery executive is and the ETA, that is how much time that the delivery executive would take to arrive at the customer location. So the entire journey of the food being delivered to the customer has been mapped on the app, and the customer gets a first-hand experience in terms of what is happening to his order. So that's the usual journey of an order being placed.
What if the driver arrives at the restaurant but the order isn't ready? Will the customer get a notification saying your driver has arrived but the food isn't ready?
So as I said, the algorithm works in such a way that the driver is only notified close to about the preparation time for that particular restaurant. So every restaurant over, let's say, thousands of orders. So we have an average value, which lets us know that, this is the usual time by which the restaurant prepares the order. And he's only sent once that when he's closer to that time. So in a case that the restaurant hasn't prepared it or hasn't been responsive, then yes, the customer definitely gets to see that the delivery executive might have arrived at the restaurant. However, the food is not ready. So there is absolute visibility in terms of what is happening to the order. The customer can see the entire journey.
Sometimes, like, the restaurant gets a food delivery order and in-person order. Like, someone who is sitting in the restaurant? Which one do they prepare first?
I think what happens is that they absolutely work in silos, right? It is not dependent on each other. There's no interdependence over there. For a restaurant owner, it is important for him to understand the kind of image that he's building on the app. So if you're a customer and I'm a restaurant, and if I'm somebody who's delayed your order, it would lead to a bad experience, which will not make you order again. So he needs to, at the same time, so it can be an order which has come offline, that is, somebody's arrived at his restaurant and he might be waiting as well. But then, as I said, it's something that needs to happen in an independent manner. Usually, the kitchen staff are trained irrespective of whether the order has come offline or online for them to prepare that dish in that standard time. Yeah, they understand their demand, which usually comes in, and they're able to cater to both the orders.
Sometimes when I go to a restaurant, I hear that sound which like says the order is come, like an online order, and it like sometimes goes on for like 5 full minutes, and it's very like annoying.
Yes. So we call it the partner application portal. We call all our restaurants as partners. It's basically, as I said, the restaurant is supposed to accept the order as soon as the order comes in, and that buzzer keeps ringing until there's somebody who's accepting the order. So we find it very important for the restaurant to understand how, since I said that everything is transparent, the customer can see the entire journey of the food delivery, for him to accept the order within time. Hence, it's made in such a way that there is somebody, at least if he's far away, right? Because of that, recurring sound going on for a lot of time, he at least runs to the place and he accepts the order. He acknowledges that there is an order which is coming.
There are so many restaurants on Swiggy's list, and each of them has a unique menu. How does Swiggy get notified when any menu changes and then update it?
So what we have done is Swiggy as such has put in a lot of power. So there are two main stakeholders here. One is the customer, and the second is the restaurant, right? We've given a lot of power to both of them. So we are a tech-enabled company, and everything is automated. So when I say that, now the restaurant is free to change his menu as he likes. There is no dependence on a person to do that. The partner application that I was telling you about is very user-friendly, and it works like a widget, right? So the partner could add any number of items, and it doesn't have to be between a particular duration of the day. It doesn't have to be, let's say, between 10 to 5 or any such window. It could be any time that is convenient to him. So as soon as the restaurant creates a menu item, a ticket is generated, which notifies Swiggy that, hey, this restaurant has created an item which needs to be added on his menu. And within a specified time, which is usually about 12 hours, 8 to 12 hours is the usual time that it takes for the menu item to be verified and uploaded. So the verification is usually on a quality check sort of thing that happens. And within that time is when somebody looks at it and sees that, okay, this is an item which needs to be added to the menu, and it is added, right? And there's another, it is also verified with a photograph, which, the restaurant has to upload of his menu copy, the offline menu copy, so that what is available offline is something that is going online as well, both in terms of price as well as the item availability. That is something that we mandate as well. And to put it in a nutshell, there is no manual dependence. The restaurant is free to add how many number of items that he wishes to. It's just that at the moment it is done, there is a ticket which is created, and that's how it gets added to his menu.
You said like in the 8 to 12 hours, there's to verify it and the quality thing and everything. Do people from Swiggy go and eat the food to check whether it's good quality, or do they just like...
No. So the quality check I was talking about was more from a digital aspect, whether, let's say, it might be a spelling mistake, it might be a vegetarian item or a non-vegetarian item getting listed as a vegetarian item, right? So such errors are rectified remotely. So in terms of checking that we don't actually, Swiggy does not go to the restaurant and check for the quality of food, but then we do mandate a FSI license, FSSAI license, which anybody who is onboarded on Swiggy needs to produce, which is a license that everybody needs to have if they want to get on board on Swiggy. Also, we do have a few badges that we give, quality badges, which there are audits which are done by independent organizations, which we do recommend restaurants that, hey, if you want to display that you are a hygienic restaurant and you're giving good quality food, we have a vendor, we have an independent body who does that. If you're interested, you could take that up and display that badge, and they would certify, if everything goes right, that you are safe and hygienic restaurant.
If Swiggy had people go to the restaurant and eat, that would be a very fun job.
Oh, absolutely. I would love to do something like that. Who wouldn't? Yeah. Food tasting, I think, would be on everybody's wish list. I think everybody wants to be a part of the food tasting team. But let's see if they do offer, if they come up with something like that. I'm pretty sure I would volunteer for that.
Yeah. How does Swiggy know if a particular item on the menu has run out of stock?
Sure. So Swiggy, as I said, now the entire menu is managed by the restaurant, right? As I said, the first stage is that the restaurant needs to accept the order. So once an order comes in, the restaurant looks at the order and then he accepts it. And if in a case that the item is not available, what the restaurant does is, they contact Swiggy, and Swiggy patches that call with the customer and tells him that the customer gets to know that this item is not in stock. Is there a replacement that the restaurant can offer, right? So that's patching in is what Swiggy does, provided the restaurant contacts Swiggy. But then, yes, as a part of a few hygiene, process hygiene checks that we do for our restaurants, we do have, parameters which constantly we look at in terms of if there is any restaurant who is faltering at such things, right? Who is running out of stock often, but is not monitoring his menu online. So we do call such people. We tell them that, hey, you in the last couple of weeks, you've been constantly running out of stock for whatever particular item. And the solution to that is that you need to actively manage your inventory online. You need to go on the app and switch off the item if you do not have the item. So those are the measures that we take at the back end, informing the restaurant partner that there are instances, because of which customers might get affected. If you've ordered for something, if you've been very keen on having a particular item, and then you waited those 20 minutes, 25 minutes, right? And then you get to know that your item is not available, that leaves you with a bad taste, right? It's a bad experience. So you wouldn't want to order again from that restaurant. And this is something that we educate restaurants, saying that it's leading to bad customer experience. So you need to actively manage your inventory and ensure that this doesn't happen again. So these are the steps that Swiggy takes from a process standpoint to help restaurants overcome such problems.
That's a very interesting and complicated process. If I was in a restaurant, so that I don't have to deal with all this trouble, whenever the cook says this item is out of stock, I will just go on the app and tell Swiggy the item is out of stock.
Absolutely. It's like you said, bang on. It's as simple as what you've told, right? It's as good as, turning on or turning off a button. So all he needs to do is, as soon as the cook tells that this item is not available, he just needs to switch that particular item off. So that's how simple it is for the restaurants.
How does Swiggy assign riders to an order?
Sure. The whole operation standpoint is pivoted around demand and supply, right? So usually the riders are given the flexibility in terms of where do they want to work. You do not have to work full-time at Swiggy. You could work part-time, how many hours you want. So that sort of flexibility is given to a rider. So what Swiggy does is it estimates in areas where, so we have, through all the data analytics being in the market for all these years, we've understood the usual trends that, let's say, happen over a weekend. Currently, there's some, IPL happening, so we anticipate a particular surge in orders, the number of orders that come in. The operations team, is well aware that, hey, for me to cater to these surge in orders or usual trends, I need so many number of riders, and the riders do not have to report into any office or say that they're available at all. All depends on them logging into their application. So the riders also have an application. So it's a live thing. So the operations team gets to know that at any point of time, these are the number of riders that are available because they have logged into their application. And this is the sort of demand that is being catered, that is around. And if there is anybody who needs to be added on, let's say from a neighboring area, is added on depending on that demand.
What happens if food is ordered but there's no driver?
Sure, that rarely happens. That rarely happens because it all runs on a mathematical model. We are able to see the demand to supply gap. I wouldn't comment on, I'm not sure what is the exact number, but it's a ratio that we maintain. So if anything closer to the lower limit of that ratio, what we do is we shut down the restaurants in that particular area because we are not able to cater to that demand. So when I say shutdown, it's we say that services aren't available, but this is something which is very rare, and it is very unusual for it to happen.
Can a driver only go to one restaurant at a time, then go to one house? Or can it pick up from different restaurants, then go to different houses?
Oh, that's a great thing. So we call that process as batching of orders. So that is, a rider can pick up either multiple orders from a particular restaurant and deliver it to multiple customers, or he could pick up, let's say, from a neighboring restaurant and he could deliver it to multiple customers. Both scenarios are there, right? But that is something that, again, happens basis a lot of data analytics. We are able to predict the preparation time, for a particular restaurant and the wait time that we have promised a customer, right? So if everything falls within those thresholds, we do go ahead, we batch those orders and we do those things. But it doesn't happen for more than 2 orders. The maximum that can happen is for 2 orders, or rather 2 customers.
What is your role at Swiggy?
Sure. So I manage the brand monetization team at Swiggy, right? The brand monetization team, if I have to put it to you in simple terms, is I look for synergies with multiple FMCG brands or brands which are looking to advertise their products on Swiggy. It could be a digital ad, or it could be somebody who's wanting to introduce a product into the market. So let's say if there is a brand like Cadbury's who wants to introduce a new range of chocolates into the market, the usual way that FMCG brands do is they do sampling. So they, in countries abroad, right, the usual way that happens is they set up stalls, they set up kiosks, and they give out these samples for free, right? So that customers, the general public, gets to know that there's a brand like this available off the shelf, right? So with e-commerce, coming into picture, right, the way things have changed is that you have multiple players who are able to deliver groceries, who are able to deliver food, right, to the doorstep. So that opens a lot of avenues to introduce these new products into the market. So I basically talk to those brands and I understand at a brand level, how do we develop that synergy? How can Swiggy as well as the brand work out things between each other, leverage each other's strength, and help each other out? So that's what I do at Swiggy.
That's a very interesting role to do.
Yep.
Which is your favorite restaurant to order food from through Swiggy?
I stay in Bangalore, and anybody who stayed in Bangalore for some time would definitely vouch for Truffles. So Truffles is a cafe. It was a single outlet based out of Sanjay Nagar and St. Mark's Road here down in Bangalore. So they were operating as standalone shops, right? So they make a lot of good burgers, they make salads, they make healthy stuff and not so healthy stuff as well. So it really depends on your mood, what you want to eat. The way Truffles has grown with Swiggy is that in collaboration with Swiggy, they have opened up a lot of cloud kitchens. So what happens with standalone shops is that you are limited to that particular area of delivery. So what Swiggy also has understood with respect to the brand equity that Truffles has in collaboration, right? So they have opened up multiple such cloud kitchens across Bangalore. So you sitting in an absolutely diametrically opposite locality in Bangalore can now get orders from Truffle. You can order from Truffles. That is because of the cloud kitchen. If there's something, if there's a restaurant which is my all-time favorite, it definitely is Truffles. And I'm happy because I used to go there as a student when Swiggy wasn't there, and now anywhere that I want to go in Bangalore, let's say if I'm going to my friend's place or relative's place, and if I need to order food, I am certain that I'll find Truffles there.
My favorite is MTR.
That's nice. That's nice. Yep. Yes. South Indian food. I personally going to the place and eating, but then yes, MTR is a great place. Yes.
There's one in Singapore here, and the dish I love the most is the masala dosa.
Masala dosa, is it? Yeah. I think that's something that has happened for a few generations before me, and I think it'll happen a few generations after you as well. People will still throng MTR for their masala dosas.
What did you want to be as a child?
Oh, that's okay. I need to think here, right? Okay. My most coherent thought, right, as a child, what did I want to be was I wanted to be in the army because I absolutely admired the uniform, right? What the institution stands for and what the kind of respect that an army man commands. However, so there are multiple things that factor in for anybody to join the army. One definitely is physical fitness, and the second is mental fitness, right? I somehow couldn't work on it because I was a roly-poly plump child. And yeah, so I never had the grit to work on my physique to get into the army. But then I really wish the kind of grit that I have now, I had back then, because on a day like today, like I've run a half marathon, if I could do that as a child, I'm pretty sure at least the physical part I would be able to crack the army entrance.
What are your hobbies?
Oh, I have a spectrum of hobbies. If I have to put a finger on it, I would say that I would do anything which is outdoor, right? So I'm a very outdoorsy person. As I said, I've taken up a lot of physical activity. I like to cycle. I like to run. I'm an aspiring triathlete. I want to participate in triathlons. I love traveling. I think over the last couple of years, I've traveled at least once in 2 months, and this is across India. Also, something that fascinated me from my childhood was history. I am a big monument and architecture buff. So in terms of be it the Mughal architecture or anything that holds significance historically within the country, and I have a lot of passion for what India stands for, and I truly believe that everyone needs to experience their country by traveling. So traveling, cycling, I do a lot of wildlife as well. I like camping. I do a lot of bike rides. I like to off-road. Yeah, so these are things, if I have to put it in a nutshell, I like to do anything which is outdoorsy.
And also, congratulations on doing that half marathon. I'm like, wow.
Yeah, I didn't know I could do that as well. So it's take a fair bit of conditioning physically for me to even attempt that. And today I woke up and I never planned for doing it today, but then what probably got me to do that is the prepping over 1 year that I've done in terms of physically conditioning myself. And I thought that I am probably in a physical state to attempt that. And yeah, it went really well. And I would like to believe there are a billion more to be done.
Yeah, that's nice. Thank you so much for coming on my show.
Hey, it's been my pleasure. I think what you're doing is great, and it's commendable at your age that you're doing something. So I hope that you stay this curious always. I'm confident you will, and this will definitely take you miles. So all the best to you. I've heard a couple of your podcasts. They are fantastic, And I think you should do this for the rest of your life. I think you're doing a great job at this.
Thank you a lot.
Thanks, man. Thank you.
Dear listeners, follow my Facebook page, Curious Vedanth, to get updates on my upcoming episodes. To listen at leisure on your phone and get notified about future episodes, subscribe by searching for Curious Vedanth wherever you get your podcasts, such as Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, Google Podcasts, and many more. You can also listen to my show on curiousvedanth.com. Thank you for listening to Curious Vedanth, and don't forget to rate and leave comments.